It sounds like it, but anyway, cool. Hello to everybody. Welcome to the August 2020 General Staff Meeting for Minecraft Rapid Transit. No private portion this time around, so this hopefully will be a fairly quick meeting. We are doing the meeting here at the, I forget if there is another name, but like the Secunda Spiral.
Clifton Corkscrew officially, but yeah.
Secunda, okay, Clifton Corkscrew in Secunda. Okay, so staff present are Mossy, AP Red, Chief, Sinra, Echo, Frumple, Gods, Cece, Vicky, and Yoshi. So, and for the record, absentee ballots received in advance from Volpe and Ungens. So, that's who we have with us. Frumple, you have the first item with regards to some 1.16 and purge stuff.
Actually, I have the first 3 items. Yeah, okay.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, the first one, we'll start with the first one.
Okay. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's if you read the topic, it's fairly straightforward. Basically, we're running out of Core Protect because the server's been extremely busy. I'd even say twice as busy at least. In the last 5 months, we're running out of Core Protect space, so we need to do a purge pretty soon, probably in September. Actually, this month, September, or at the very latest October. When the purge happens, the server will be whitelisted. I'm not sure how long it'll run. It could be as low as a few hours to a day, or maybe even more. I'm not sure. I'll keep people updated while the server's down. I'm planning to do it on a Monday. Earliest will probably be August 17. So that'd be not this Monday, but next Monday. It's all dependent on I'm waiting for Minecraft 1.16.2 to get released. It's on like pre-release 3, I think. So they usually release on Wednesdays. So we'll see if it comes out this week or maybe next week. Ideally, I think what I'd like to do is try to do the purge and set up the beta server on the same day, like ideally, because I need to delete the server and then re-up it anyway. So yeah, basically watch for announcements coming up about it. This topic's really more of an announcement. So if you have any questions about it, like feel free to pop them in or wait till the Q&A at the end. Does staff have any? Do staff have any questions about it? I guess.
No, it seems pretty straightforward to me.
Not really. It's unfortunate that we'll be losing logs so quickly, but
I mean, this is just kind of how it has to go. Yeah.
Yeah, there's no real alternative.
Yeah. I'm not tired. Hopefully, the next few months will be less busy because again, school's coming back, but again, a lot of people are doing online learning, so we might not. I'm hoping to get a little decrease in activity in the server, but maybe not. It might not be as much as we expect. There's also the 3D Dyn map we still have to do at some point. So if the server becomes significantly less busy, like say September, October, then we can probably think about scheduling that at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I do know, for at least stateside, a fair number of folks who at the college level are taking some time off in the fall. So it could go either way with the traffic. I would imagine a slight decrease, but nothing, not the usual decrease that we get in September.
Mm-hmm. Not the big drop off we usually see.
Yeah.
Okay, so
cool.
I'll make a further announcement later once I've got the date settled in there. The next topic is 5B. It is about getting rid of the trial mod rank. And the justification, just to summarize, is basically some people have gotten the impression that the rank is there so that to allow people to basically give give more people a chance to become a mod, or at least try them out. But in practice, that's not what we've been doing. The standards that we use to choose mods or choose new mods hasn't really changed that much because of various reasons. And the only really purpose of this rank seems to be just to indicate that someone is new, someone who's still in their 3-month probation period. So, and I think it's fair to say that when the moderator gets promoted, the word spreads quite rapidly. You see it on Discord, people talk about it. So I don't see much point in having the trial mod rank anymore. The whole temp ban thing also, we've never had to use that. So I'm just thinking, let's just get rid of it and have just one moderator rank.
Do you agree for all the reasons you've highlighted?
Yep, I'm with it too.
I'm for removing.
Yeah,
it.
I'm fine with that. I'm assuming that if we do this, then Dot will just instantly become a regular mod.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am curious if there's any opinions from members at this point. I'm watching meeting live just to see if there's any objections or agreements to this at all.
Would be
yeah. Okay, Ox has a good question. Ox says, how would mod warnings be handled? And I think I might have answered this before. Generally, if a mod does something, usually if it's something minor, then admins will go talk with them and just say, okay, please don't do that sort of thing again. This is why, etc., etc. If it's something major, yes, we've demoted people to trial mod, but it might be the case that maybe they just get, if it's really serious, they might just get demoted completely. Because again, if the trial mod's not there, then there's no other thing we can do, really.
We also, just for context, we have only actually invoked that demotion twice. Once for JPH/Valkorion and once for Castle. Yes. So it's something that thankfully is very rare. So yeah. So.
I'm not sure. This might come into a larger discussion of whether there should be an actual standard mod warning system or something like that. But other than those two incidents, it hasn't been needed that much. So I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Maybe it might be something admins or staff discuss later if it becomes an issue. Okay. I'm not seeing any objection to this, so
seems everyone's pretty much in favor.
Did the chief actually just remind us the absentee balance? Did they say anything about this particular topic at all?
We had one say it should remain, one say it should be eliminated. No further comments.
Okay. Okay.
Cool.
In that sense, yeah, I'll probably make the changes later today, probably. It's fairly simple to change the ranks around. Okay. I'm moving on to 5C now.
Yep.
This one's probably going to be a lot more contentious. So last month I put up a survey question, and the survey question wasn't too detailed. All it asked was when should we consider lifting extensions? Because we've asked this question sort of before, once in a survey question. And the question is, the answers are pretty definite. It looks like we're probably going to at least lift the extensions at this GSM. The question is how to lift them, or to what extent, I guess. I know that there are some opinions that it shouldn't be opened fully. It should be only extended to places where there is already development. And I also do agree, and it's my personal opinion that I agree that GSM GSM, MRT line extensions historically, at least the most recent ones, have not been very good at actually encouraging growth. If anything, they might be even stifling growth. We even see cases like when the stations are up for claiming, not very many people actually claim any stations. Like it's like one or two, or maybe just a few. So I think there is a point to this.
I actually disagree, at least in regards to Northern Line. Not sure about Gods' extensions, but while I haven't got a lot of claims immediately, I have seen like a few extra towns spring up along the line. So I think it's delayed.
I've
Not
noticed that as
necessarily
well.
like when it opens, but
There's
when
not many
it's
that are
delayed.
applying, but there are a fair few. There's usually a couple per extension of people that just start building without applying.
And I think, especially nowadays, now that we've gotten, a very significant number of new members coming on board in the last few months, that, having more people means that they're going to want some freshly available land to start a town at. And yeah, an MRT station is definitely a recognizable starting point.
Yeah, because I think a lot of older members have just, obviously with the new world opening up, I think a lot of them still have towns that show up but only 2 or 3 months old at this point, and so we're still actively working on them.
I would disagree with that argument because I don't necessarily. I think when we talk about development, if we actually look at the extension lines, we are talking about significant development because while maybe later a lot of stations are going to claim we don't really see significant development. Usually it's like 4 or 5 buildings and then they kind of just get left there. So I don't really adhere to the argument that that kind of does spar development.
I have a question. If it's the case that people are building cities after the claim period, is there a reason why people aren't jumping onto those? Because usually what I would think is if people want to make sure that they can like hold on to a place that they really want, like near an MRT station, then they probably want to claim it soon. So is there a reason why we're not seeing that? Do they just not know about it?
It may be partly because it could be just how few applications we're getting these days. People just see that it's not really necessary because the station probably won't be applied for anyway, so save the faff of doing it.
I mean, also based off the ones I've built so far, it also depends on where you built the lines itself. Like Zephyr, with all the snow biomes, now when people wanted to build there, I had only one application that was Fred because I built the line through his town. Like any applications I've had only benefits through a person's town itself. And I've built stuff like in very flat land, like open areas that people would like to build towns. And even right now, I know people mentioned spacing stations out more to try to not stifle growth. I know that's been a recent topic recently where we pushed that further with the Taiga. Southern, I think, also adopted the new standard. The point is, I think not only recently with members of picking stations, but also I think station location, like the lines also determine how people will want to apply for them or not.
Yeah, I think like a few people pointed out in Meaning Live, there was quite a large majority opinion that it was basically we would probably allow them, but we would kind of be more strict on them on approving them at GSM's work. We kind of are looking for more development on a line than just extending a line just to extend it. I know that wasn't an option in the poll, but that was, I think, a kind of idea that was floated around quite a bit by quite a few people in the discussion of it when it originally was released.
Yeah, because that's how I extend mine. Is I look for lots of towns that already exist for development and extend to there. For example, like right now with my Arctic planning, I'm trying to weave it through towns that already have decent development, like Frostbite, Norwest, like towns that have some development to spear like little kind of hubs in the area.
Yeah, that's my plan with Western too, is to specifically go via Chanbei and whatever that bit across from Espil is, so, and Hannibal and stuff like that. So when I did for the absentee ballots on this one, the question was, so the options were yes, lifted. Option 1 was yes, lifted completely. Option 2 was yes, lift it, but require connectivity to established towns. And then option 3 was to leave it. So the 2 absentee ballots that I got, both of them were for raise it, but restrict to existing cities. So
I think I'd be.
I think that's a fairly large consensus.
Yeah, I'm for that.
I'm fine with that.
I'm just kind of curious. Sorry, I just want to do a little thought experiment. Just if you bear with me. Gods, you submit 9A in the GSM, right? The Southern line.
Yeah.
Can I, for those listening in the meeting, I'm directing this toward members. Based on the proposal that Gods has put out, would you be interested in any of the stations in that one, in this particular proposal? I just want to get a sense of if this is
Southern West.
Southern West.
Yeah.
Time, I already know you're going to grab
not.
If you already have one, it doesn't count. I'm only looking for people who are interested in claiming a station.
Yeah, specifically on this. I guess, or we're talking about specifically this line, or just kind of in general.
Just specifically this line, because it's the only proposal that's available right now. Also, I guess as a side, actually, this is an important question. Maybe we should look at 9A right now. Would 9A fit within the criteria of, like, would it get approved this GSM based on what we decide here?
I mean, there's like what, 3 towns?
Are we asking members this, or is this a general discussion thing?
This is a general. That's how it's
I
general.
mean, it serves 3 settlements, and only one of them is ranked. And
I
it's
would say
fairly long.
I talked to Gods a little bit earlier. I would say kind of no, just because, like Dalt said, there are 3 settlements. One of them is rank, and the one that is rank is Gods is. And it's only councillor, it's not even mayor. So I would be less likely to move off of that.
Okay.
I just don't think it's time to build it out there just yet.
Okay.
Should we just say that that's a result for 9A now?
We could, if you want to. We can.
Yeah,
we can do it.
Skip that section.
Okay. Back to my previous question. I'm sorry for mixing the questions. It looks like there's not many people want to claim that either. So I guess that sort of says that. The final question I want to pose is, I think this has come up a bit. What are the most likely extensions that would work based on
Expo East.
Expo East, Zephyr North as well.
Okay.
I was going to say Arctic because of the stations in the northwest, all this region.
Yeah, Arctic. Well, Arctic's not into Zeta, but yes, Arctic should be extended.
I'm not going to Zeta. I'm just throwing this out there because I want to propose it at ISM next. So that's why I'm saying there's Northwest area that I was planning to hit with Arctic.
I think we're more referring to Zeta. I think we're more referring to like Zeta line.
Yeah.
So I think for Zeta, I would say Zephyr North and Expo East.
Yeah. I agree. There's not really, I mean, even as I was looking today, there's not really much Zeta towns that are per se big right now. Because I mean, even look at rank promotions, like there haven't really been that many.
Yeah. You can probably make an argument for Jungle past Secunda.
I don't know if there's any towns past
Edakani.
No. I'm blocking him, sorry. I'm gonna tell you straight up now, I'm blocking it.
Well, okay, never mind then. I was gonna say like Edakani, like Bilibek, Kleinsburg.
Jungle North has to cross the ocean, which is also a big leap. I think it'll eventually happen, but maybe not now. Okay, so at least we can keep those in mind for future proposals. But I guess it sounds like yes, we're lifting the moratorium, but it has to be to places where there is already significant development. I guess it sounds like it has to be at least a few towns and cities. They can't just be one or two.
And specifically, they've got to be ranked, and not random unincorporated areas don't count.
I know Todd mentioned this earlier when we were talking about some forum, like in a forum, is there like a certain criteria, like amount of towns we should be looking for?
I don't think there should be a certain criteria necessarily because I think that'd be hard to define.
I mean,
But
there's got to be a rough guideline though.
I
we
mean,
can set a big minimum, like number of towns.
Oh, well, number of
Yeah.
towns per station or so.
I mean, I think I think the problem with that is how would you gauge that though? Because it obviously would depend on development rates of people, and we don't really have anything to measure that.
Yeah, development and length of the route.
Yeah.
I mean, if
guess-
anything, if you
Right.
want to basically ensure, if you want to basically kind of like make sure you don't approve one that is planned to be rejected, I mean, I feel like you could just ask around about what other staff think about the route before you put it on the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, some of the yardstick that I'd be looking for is, over the course of the whole route, how many of those stations would go to towns ranked mayor and above?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have a specific minimum, but having more is certainly better.
I think actively building towns also might count a little bit because
that would help.
Yeah, because a city could be mayor, but the person disappeared or,
Right.
or went off somewhere.
What about what Cookie brought up in meeting channel? 5 counselor, 4 mayor, 2 senator, or 1 governor.
Might get a little too complicated to have. Yeah. Limits like
that having hard quotas seems, and also that doesn't really support short extensions like what we had with the Jungle North. So
because effectively that was just one town.
Yeah. It's a lot of different factors. So I think basically what we're saying is, yes, it's open. Staff are going to be a lot more stringent. When the proposal comes in, we're going to be a lot more stringent to see if there's actually enough development there. It's different from usual.
And I would say that we've generally, even through Epsilon, we generally have taken the approach of trying to keep this sort of thing in mind when building an extension, because like the initial lines were just built, and then some of the extensions were just built out of straight extensions of what was originally done when the server opened or when the Gamma World opened. But then the rest of it has generally been under this guiding principle. Okay.
I think we're all done for that. So.
Oh God, my turn.
Yep. Good luck.
Yeah, thanks.
Have fun. God bless.
Yeah, thanks. Yep. So okay, so this one, so 5D is the idea is that we've got a good number of community builds like Uacam Beach, like Sig of Sol, like GSM Town, stuff like that. So over the years, just as these things have been proposed and managed and built and whatnot, I know I have either gotten questions or have tried to think through building out some of the traditionally rank restricted infrastructure, especially when it comes to airports. Because I know that, at least like in the heyday of the GSM Town project, that people have certainly wanted to, eventually get to full like seaplanes and stuff like that. And right now we more or less just kind of treat these as just kind of a special case, and we're just like, yeah, if you want to do something, we've generally operated under the principle of that infrastructure like that should get an okay at like a GSM or ISM or something like that. But that's not written anywhere. So my thought was to allow community builds to rank up with with slightly adjusted criteria, and to deal with whoever's shooting fireworks, please stop. To deal with the one major concern that we've seen is with community builds going through the ranks is how does that work with player ranks? And what I'm proposing here is that if it's a community build, that it doesn't affect a player rank, and because reflecting the nature of everybody chipping in. I think the couple bits of discussion that I've seen are revolving around the requirements. of that if this were to go ahead, that maybe we would have the requirements or the recommended build numbers at 2 times what they are for single, for traditional towns. I've also seen some discussion of maybe having them at 1.5 times. So councilor would be 15, mayor would be 30, and so on. So anyway, that's the general idea.
On the build front, I'm more in favor of just having it at the usual value, because I think it's going to be a pain for us to have to effectively assess a town for the same rank based on different criteria. It may just be easier to keep it at the same, and ultimately it's still going to have to be just as significant for that rank.
Yeah,
and sorry, actually,
yeah, the reason that I wanted to have the ranks or the requirements be slightly higher is because of the fact that you have a number of people working on it at once.
I get that,
And
but
so,
there isn't the incentive to get the rank from it because no one gets the rank.
No player gets the rank, but the town does.
The reason is for airfields and stuff. I guess that's basically the main point of the proposal. I understand, but go ahead, Rumble.
If you look in the comment for staff, the staff comment, my response, Gods, is if you leave it at 1, what I worry about is they're good. The community build is going to smash the ranks in no time. Like if you just keep it at 1, you'll literally have a governor town in maybe a week or 2.
I keep thinking like New Singapore because of how fast that is.
In regards to what Echo said in meeting live, I think I agree with this quite a bit, which is just kind of just approving them at GSMs, because honestly, I think this is kind of overcomplicating a thing that really doesn't need to be this overcomplicated. Because if I think what we could just do is if a community build wants an airfield or something special, you would just propose it at a GSM like you would for anything you want to exempt the rules for. I know that Echoes agree with this. I know a few other members agree with this as well, where I think this might be going a little unnecessarily overcomplicated in trying to have point A, B, C, D, E for every situation. But honestly, I think we can just put it up at a GSM and basically discuss it.
There are also some questions and possibly some.
Kind of as a side effect of an event, and I think being able to more effectively allow for more collaborative builds is something that I know that I personally would love to see, and I know that we've talked about wanting to try and facilitate more member organized events. So the idea is to again try and have a framework in place, and if you boil it down to yes, you can rank, it doesn't affect player ranks, and the build requirements are whatever level, 1.5, 2. I think that doesn't. I don't think that overcomplicates it all that much.
Yeah, I see the I think I brought this up with Yoshi. It basically, this is like an SMP, because this is the reason why we brought in SMPs, because there were, especially during the early days of the New World, there were some people who really wanted to not have just one mayor or one. They wanted to work together on builds. A good example is people like Bestmate, building whatever that city is in St. Valley, St. Rue. That's one example. The other good example is when Amarkan Ortum wanted to build. The name escapes me, but their island. Yeah.
Camino.
Yeah, Camino. Amarkan was telling me I want to work together with Ortum with this, but I don't really want to choose a single mayor, right? So I don't know if that sort of demand is still here right now, or if members nowadays want that sort of thing. So maybe that should be posed to them.
I mean,
I don't. Go ahead.
I mean, to be honest, I think even though I think I don't really see an issue of having to list someone as a mayor, because like even if they're listed as the mayor, it's not like they have the final say. Like you can choose how to make the hierarchy kind of whatever way you want. It's just
I think that a mayor might be more useful to have that one person who's accountable. So if we've got any issues, we can just go.
That's the main reason, is single point of contact.
Yeah, I think it's more just for like logistic stuff. I don't think necessarily like obviously that person has to have control. I think it's just more we have to do it logistically.
Maybe my point is not as strong. The main this thing doesn't solve this problem, but the main problem is people like in case of Omicron Ordum, Omicron would get all the benefits of the rank and Ordum wouldn't. This doesn't solve it at all, but it is an issue that has cropped up before because they want to share the rank perks basically.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a way to really solve that though, because at that point, I'm not sure there's a way to solve that.
Yeah, that's why 10 players could just work together and get Premier really fairly easily.
Yeah, and I guess to kind of swing it back to the proposal, I think at least myself and Echo and maybe a few other people agree. I think it'd be much easier just to kind of approve it at GSM. Like if a community wants an airfield, we could just say apply to a GSM and we'll take a look at it. Maybe we could obviously instill some hard limits like the airport at least. For example, maybe we can still follow the 50% rule, but I think it really would be more case by case basis.
So you're saying not have community ranks at all, but for what would be the perks, so the airfield, the airports, and the warping at spawn, those would be decided at GSM.
I don't know what the warp at spawn necessarily means, but
what would be Premier?
Oh, I mean, I think that really depends. I guess that could be something you could apply for too. I guess, but yeah, I know. I would say I think it should be up to GSM because I think this kind of overcomplicates something that we really haven't had issues with in the past, and I think that most people agree it'd be just much easier to send a GSM proposal or an ISM proposal or whatnot.
Just because we haven't had issues doesn't mean it's not worth talking about.
Yes, but that shouldn't mean we should add more restrictions and more things to make the rules page long to okay, my point is we shouldn't just make the rules page longer and make it more complicated just to preempt something that we haven't really had an issue about. And if anything, if we try to install this, it could make more issues, as Camel pointed out, which was if someone does like go through this process and make an airfield, gate allocations could be an issue where if someone like the mayor of the community build allocates like their gates that everyone else thinks is unfair, but they're listed as the mayor, what happens there? And I think it really does open a big can of worms. I think if we try to instill this proposal.
To be honest, I'm looking at meeting live. I'm not really seeing much. Well, I guess people can chime in now. Like, are you in favor of this sort of proposal? I guess.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Yoshi on this one personally.
Okay, looks like.
Yeah, I agree with Yoshi.
G runs one of the community builds and he's in favor of just people sending a GSM proposal.
Yeah, that's what Yoshi said.
I think what we could do is to make it clear. I think we could definitely take some parts of this and put it maybe on like the guidelines, procedures, because we have on there like how to like propose an event or whatever. We can always put, oh, this is how you propose. This is how you get an airfield. Just say like, propose it to GSM. I think we can all agree if they do propose an airport, it should still follow the 50% rule and whatnot.
Oh yeah,
I would go so far as to say like it's the same reason why Ivy became what it was and why the rules went into place to begin with.
And I think okay, so that makes sense then. I think then the question is, do the threshold to unlock the ability to even send in that proposal in the first place, does that remain the same at effectively 60 builds plus the landmark, which is what governor's at.
I would say yes.
I would say no. I think it should be based on a case-by-case basis, depending on what kind of community build it is. Because it's hard. I'd imagine some builds are like, for example, MRT land. It's not really a bunch of build. It's a bunch of rides. You can't really count.
I don't really see that applying for an airport.
I'm using it as an example, right? Okay, I guess if it's a town, I guess if we're going to be explicit about this, that means it's not community builds, it's community towns, right?
Yeah.
Which the overwhelming majority either are or can be relatively easily converted to a town, like Sig of Sol. Like, even though everyone's building just a hotel, like, yeah, in terms of the usual rules framework, it fits in within what would typically be classified as a town. In terms of like the general structure of how it's all built.
I mean, if it's a community town, then yeah, we can use the 60 build things. It's similar. I'm just a little worried that there might be cases where it's kind of the definition's a little fuzzy. I can't think of examples right now, but like, yeah, I guess Secacel would be one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if a town applied for it, as far as I'm concerned, it would be effectively, we'd be reviewing the 50% and then reviewing the standards of it as we would any other.
And this would be done at GSMs, I guess?
Yeah, I think
or ISMs?
GSM/ISMs, I think that would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, because like traditional towns, we can do those by email. Like, those don't need a full approval. But,
I would almost say, I'd almost say GSM only, just to roll it into the Premier review portion.
Like, it would be a similar section to Premier reviews.
Does
No,
it need to be
transport projects?
Does it need to be private? I guess that's a question, right?
No, it would be similar to, but not private.
Then why not just put it in?
I would suggest the voting itself for like whether it meets the quality for governor would want to be private. Like, we can still put the feedback up afterwards, as we do for Premier City reviews currently, but
why don't we do? I mean, if
not sure, to be honest. You could do either way.
Yeah, I could see that going either way.
But
I'm generally, I'm more in favor of do that in public at an ISM or GSM as a because like it's going to be an airport, so airports are transport projects, and like that's specifically what you're asking to do. So in terms of the section that it would go in, like that feels the most appropriate, either that or other.
There is an evaluation as part of it, but it's not. I don't think it's a vote necessarily, or really a formal vote. It's just more like, does it seem big enough, really, right?
And I think that one, like, even though like a governor for a town, like we're looking at specific things, I think for a community build especially, that may actually be pretty easy to determine, because like if it's a big active bill, a community build that has had a lot of work put in and it's got the build requirements, and with the community build and people are focusing on their one little bit, that I would imagine that those would be reasonably well detailed. I don't think that that's going to be. I'm personally okay with having that discussion public. So
there is a part of this I want to talk about, is the ownership of the community build. Because I know in your proposal, Chief, you said there has to be a mayor, deputy mayor. Are we just leaving that open right now? Because
I think.
Go ahead, Yoshi.
I was gonna say, well, I think that also raises the interesting point where, like, obviously, I think most proposals, if anything, are going to be for airports or airfields, and the question is, who would be allowed to allocate those gates? So I think logistically, we have to have someone appointed, or at least a group of people appointed as something, or like some kind of plan rolled out of this is how we'll appoint gates. Because I think with how competitive the market could possibly be you need someone to be able to point to, say like basically point to, oh, you guys said you allocated the gates in this way, and this is how it's allocated. Therefore, whether it's fair or not, you guys agreed on this.
Yeah, I mean, so I said to have, organizer / second in command, mayor, deputy mayor equivalent. Again, that's for the same reason that we have them on towns, which is for single point of contact. I know that obviously a lot of community builds wind up delegating responsibilities of specific things. And I think, in the case of an airport, if whoever's organizing and like actively involved in a community build, because like every community build is organized slightly differently, as long as whatever approval structure they have for the existence of the airport, then at that point, then I would say that they would, I'm with Yoshi of like, all right, in that when you propose that at the GSM ISM, like specify who is going to be in charge of that airport and of gates, which can be different than whoever's in charge of the community build as a whole. I mean, that's, technically that is a thing that can be done now. We just generally assume that an airport is owned by that town's mayor. But there's nothing wrong with, we do allow, like with Senator airfields, multiple people to be involved. So as long as at least with Senator and, with joint airfields and shared airports, like we do require people to tell us like how the ownership is structured and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
So we're leaving it open then, basically.
Yeah, I think just kind of keep with what we've been doing. As long as they make sure that whoever's building the bigger or the community build airports, as long as they know, as long as they're planning for how to do it, and as long as it seems reasonably fair, then I'm fine with it not necessarily being owned by the mayor or organizer or whatever of the whole thing.
It sounds like there needs to be a subset of these rules written in the rules, I guess.
Don't we have like in the policies and procedures, do we have a thing that specifically has this in it of like if you're doing a joint airfield, you have to tell us who's owning it and stuff?
About a joint airfield?
I don't think I saw a mention of that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we did decide that at a while back. So we may just need to post it if it's not up already.
After this system, we can add the joint airfield information. Plus, we could honestly just add a short section about basically just general guidelines about community builds and stuff like that as well.
Yeah, okay. That sounds good.
Just a reminder again, please keep the meeting channel to meeting specific discussion only.
Okay, so it sounds like the proposal as a whole is a no, but we will clarify that that community builds can request rank restricted stuff like seaplanes and and airports and stuff through GSM ISM.
Yeah.
Are we fine with it at ISMs? I know Dalt brought up the time concerns as a concern.
I would agree with Dalt that it's going to be fairly timely to actually look over whether we think it meets the governor standards.
Could give it a try.
The first two ISMs we didn't even come close to the limit. So and transport is kind of far. Well, transport projects is the first section, so maybe these we would shuffle in as other, and that would go last.
Time get to it, if not push it GSM.
Yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah, we could do that.
Okay, so these are section 10 things then. Okay. All right, Susie, you got that on the minutes?
Finishing that part up right now.
Okay. Any other thoughts on that then? Otherwise, we can move into 5E.
John G's asking about Premiere, how that would work, but yeah.
Again, because we're saying that community builds won't go through the ranks, that doesn't apply.
I think maybe it means for like the warps.
Because
like,
so I think that yes, okay. So I think that we're saying if it's anything that's rank restricted, so that includes Premier warps, then that would be a Section 10 thing.
Yeah.
I think if it was a major enough community build, it would have its own warp, not a Premier warp. I would think, right?
Yeah, probably.
There is a section in the Welcome Center for just like other general warps, so you could technically propose it to have it there.
Yeah,
and even below what would normally be considered Premier.
Okay. No, well, to answer your question, Aqua, we don't have like a center. It's just
Time, you certainly could, or at least you could certainly propose them. As for whether they'd be approved, I think the criteria that we'd be looking for is how active and currently relevant is the build. So under that yardstick, Yucam Beach definitely would meet the active and significant criteria because it's got the event going on. Whereas Sig of Sal, I don't think it would be a lot harder for it to meet that level.
When the Yucam Beach would be the event warp directly at spawn, and then when the event's over, I don't think
the marina is very active. I don't understand what you mean by that time.
I mean, Yucam just ended, if anything.
Yeah. So that, but I mean, in terms of like recency, though, like if it was a thing that was asked about 2 weeks ago, that would be that Yucam would be a lot easier to get one. But again, that's I think that generally it's going to be on a case by case because every build's different. But activity is a thing that I would use as a potential criteria.
I don't know if we should use activity, but I think more of just kind of like I think it more would depend on notability and stuff like that. And I feel like we should be clear. We don't want to just give them out for any ones because at some point then if we give it to everyone, it's just going to be kind of a very big haul of warps to just random places on the server. I think they're not going to be given out just kind of whatever. We do have to be at least somewhat stringent with that.
Maybe as a yardstick, if it's for an event that happens and then it's over, probably not going to be a warp. But as Yoshi said, like notability, I'd say also usefulness. If people want to get there for some whatever reason, then it makes sense to have a warp there.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Okay, but I think other than that, I think that's settled.
Well, it's like we're announcing the results at this GSM, Yoshi, about the voting because that's Section 10.
Yeah, I have them. So, but we'll get to that later. Okay, cool. That is that then. So then that puts us at 5E, which is about the roleplay Discord channel.
So to provide a little background, apparently in media Discord channel, there are people using that channel to roleplay when that channel is mainly used for like announcement and stuff. So originally he wanted to propose like a media fiction, media RP. I just suggested let's make a roleplay channel. So that's my amendment there.
So we kind of have to. There's kind of 2 points I've seen, which is that people are kind of annoyed, so it should go to media. But then I guess the argument I've seen, I think, like Kitty is saying in meeting discussion, is that it seems like it's kind of 1 or 2 people. So would the channel just basically kind of be those 2 people using that channel?
To be clear, when they did the roleplay in the media channel, people in there were telling them to not do it in media channel. That's the problem. That's why this channel is being proposed. So the question is, do we want to just keep it as allow them? We could allow the role play in media channel, just make sure people understand it's not just for announcements, or we can create the channel.
So, I mean, and I'm seeing in media live that there's been a lot of, I mean, especially like random people posting things in media with it's like statement from whatever government statement from War Department, and I'm like, it is, and from what I'm seeing in the meeting channel, that is starting to drown out events and other stuff that's going on. So I do see the point for why this is being requested. I don't know if is roleplay the best name, and how would how would that be defined? That I'm not sure, but in terms of like, I do agree that there is a need.
I'm not really sure if it's a need or not, because I mean, right now it's mainly been like, I feel like it's been bandwagony of people just do it because other people are doing it.
Yeah,
that's how that's you just described the nature of the server.
Well, I mean, especially with the statement stuff, it's people want to do it, like especially the statements, or people just want to do it because they feel like they should and want to have relevancy. Like, I mean, yeah, I think it's spammy. I think that's also kind of up to people.
Discord threads can't come soon enough.
Yeah.
There's also this notion: is this just Catla and some people? I'm trying to get a sense of how many people want to do this role play.
It's like, I don't really know why people have media as a notification.
I really don't care.
I don't see a reason to add it if it's only one person.
Yeah,
it wasn't just one person; it was a couple people, but it was.
Can't we just use a project channel for it?
I mean, I was going to say about frequency of like there's not much role play around all the time to say we need this.
Yeah, and I agree, and reusing a project channel would be an option. We could suggest to Catalog.
I mean, recently that's what they've been doing, is use Project One for all their stuff recently.
Yeah. Again, the main issue is the amount of roleplay tends to spam media, and people don't want to leave media channel because sometimes there might be actually interesting stuff in there. So, but a project channel, yes, I can see people temporarily turning that off if they don't want to see that roleplay.
I think one of the things that goes a bit against the purpose of media is when people start having full conversations in the media channel. Like, it's meant to be just give the announcement. So maybe I think if we're not gonna, it sounds like we're not going to be implementing this. So I think maybe it might be worth just reiterating that the media channel should be post your announcement and then leave. And like, if you want to talk about it, that you use a different channel.
Yeah, like that's kind of, I think, part of our part is just to kind of push, like, hey, move to this channel.
Yep.
Okay, and then yeah, okay.
John G, project channels aren't just for in-game things. They are linked to Discord. So if you want to discuss it in Discord, you can do that.
I mean, slow mode could be used. I kind of see that as more of a last resort, because I don't think it's such an issue at this point that it's necessary.
It's happened a few times. Like, it like on occasion. It doesn't happen all the time, but it has happened where people don't understand the use of media channels, especially newer players, so they just have full-on conversation in there.
What I would say, go ahead.
By having slow mode, it would actually indicate to people, maybe I shouldn't be talking this much. But that's only on Discord side. On the in-game side, though, we can't control that. So there's a problem there.
But the media channels aren't linked, so.
Oh, sorry, never mind.
Yeah,
I forgot about that.
Yeah. I mean, Kitty's saying that it could be annoying to ask people to not react to stuff in the media channel. I would counter that with, I think that would be a temporary ask, and that once threaded replies are a thing, because it looks like that feature is coming soon. And so once threaded replies are an option, then respond all you want in a thread.
I strongly disagree with pinning your hopes on a potential feature that may or may not come into play.
I agree that that it is wishful thinking, but I don't know. It seems. I mean, I thought I saw screenshots from people like in Canary builds who were testing it out. So, and again, I know from software that it ain't real until it's real. But
this Discord has explicitly said this may not happen. So,
okay,
yeah.
So I wouldn't pin our hopes on that.
Okay. Never mind then.
Okay. I think we're done with this topic. So no roleplay channel.
No roleplay channel.
Yeah, Kettle, you're gonna have to use a project channel, or I think I saw a suggestion of creating your own Discord server for that sort of thing, which might be more appropriate, to be honest.
Yeah.
You can just include the people you want to include there. So.
Okay, and then do we want to turn on slow mode in media? Skelly, yes. The purpose of media is for individual players to make announcements about the towns and companies that they're running. So,
should a change be made to the channel description? Just to reiterate that it's not necessarily for roleplay.
I've found in my experience, people don't read the damn channel descriptions.
Also, the channel description right now is pretty accurate.
Yeah, I think I don't think we should really change anything. I think we should keep status quo. I think also with the thing about adding slow mode, if someone has a long message about like an event or something being released, and it has to be split into two messages, I think that wouldn't slow mode technically kind of stop you from doing that?
I mean,
people have put statements in Google Docs and then just put the link.
The minimum slow mo we can put in is 5 seconds. I don't think that's going to be too big a deal if you have multiple messages. I don't know.
I think that we should just keep it as I don't really think we need slow mode, to be honest.
Yeah, if we're just gonna do that, then that's.
If it becomes an issue at like in between now and the next GSM, we can always just turn on slow mode. It's not like it's this crazy thing. But unless it does, I don't think we should do anything at this point.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so then roleplay channel does not exist. Please keep roleplay out of media. You can respond in the media channel if you need to, but like keep in mind that the intended purpose is to be for posting announcements and things of that nature. That all sound good?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 5F Lab World.
So actually reading this topic, I think what Imperial actually wanted to talk about was organizing the lab world, not cleaning it up, which I think we sort of interpreted that way. I think he wants to make it look more organized, which I know people have different opinions on it because it does look like a bit of a mess to some people, but other people don't care about that. So
I'm of the opinion that nothing should be done.
Yeah, I don't think we should alter it, but I know somebody mentioned getting around it with the warp idea that Camel suggested was a good idea, at least help people find spaces.
Yeah, that's kind of separate from this. I personally am in favor of at least starting to think about cleaning it up, the lab world, because I would rather be a little bit more proactive in this case and at least get rid of the things that are people definitely don't want in there or aren't using.
Here's one thought. I haven't had time this week, unfortunately, to really look through the proposals. But has it been considered like starting afresh? So whenever the next world save goes up onto the file server, just wiping the lab worlds and having a completely clean one.
I strongly disagree with
So see, I have a feeling, gods, that's going to be extremely unpopular, and I'm seeing that already in Meeting Live.
Yeah, no. I don't agree with that either.
Yeah.
I mean, how would we even have people move, projects that are currently in progress over?
People keep a lot of their stuff in lab.
That's the idea. That's the idea of waiting for it to be backed up onto the file server, because if it's in progress or it's something someone wanted, they could get it copied over via world edit.
I think that's excessive, and I don't think we should do that.
Downloading the files, it's there, but it is a hassle for a lot of people.
It's a lot of work.
It's a hassle, but if we're talking about cleaning bits up and having to save it onto potentially a different world, it could be just as much of a faff.
I think trying to clean up what's already there is folly. I'm of the opinion that we should have warps, and people shouldn't claim more than one lab world plot, quote unquote plot. Just like if you have an area in the lab world, stick to it. You can go up. No one's
and down
or down, yeah. Like you can use a lot of space in the lab world without taking up a huge footprint.
Okay, I feel like we're jumping in different directions in this thing. Just following what Meaning Live, expanding the lab world is an option, but I'd rather not. I consider that a last resort too. There is space, but it does mean the overall size of the world will get larger, and
also it's file space is the square of the dimension. So if you expand it, if you double the radius, you're quadrupling the file space that it takes up. So, which again, we have disk space, but it's not limitless. And Cookie Space World is negligible in terms of the overall disk space because it's small and because it's mostly void blocks. So yeah, okay, yeah, I would agree that so okay, warps, why do we need those?
So there was a side discussion in forum where I think a lead brought it up, and it hasn't been come up before, is people wanted a way to easily get around the lab world. There was some back and forth about it, like people could just use their homes, or people wanted to use warps instead, without needing to build any buses or anything. These would just be straight up warps in the lab world. One solution that Camel brought up, and I think it's viable, is maybe at the lab world spawn there should be some fixed warps to particular locations, like for example 1,000, or x equals 1,000, z equals 1,000, for example, or every 1,000 or 2,000 blocks. So that way people they don't have to fly around; they just get around it a little easier there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the coordinate warp idea is not bad, and I think that it should be allowed for every person who has a lab plot to be able to put a warp back to lab world spawn.
There's also MV spawn, so they don't need to do that. Okay, I'm going to respond to Kitty. There is one benefit of having these warps, because if you fly, you're actually loading all those chunks, and as you know, Minecraft 1.15 and 6, chunk loading is terrible. So by doing this, we're actually saving TPS a little bit.
And again, that answers my question of, yes, you've got your lab world home for yourself, but in terms of getting other people there to your lab, that's fine. I would even go, at that point, I would even go further to suggest, just to make it a little bit easier to find on Dynmap which warp you need, mark those warps on Dynmap too.
One other thing that it was Kitty mentioned that quite a few people agreed with him, but I know there's a dissenting opinion about if you have to get to someone else's lab. I mean, you obviously could DM them in Discord. There's also many ways to do that, but I am very much against the idea of having warps to personal labs, just because that very much just seems like something that people would it's just for like ease, if anything, and I don't think we need to have labs for everyone's.
Yeah, coordinate warps sound much better. Also from a maintenance perspective, because like with personal warps, if someone goes inactive, like how are we going to judge removing them from the spawn and stuff like that? MC protocol, same thing with major, defining what a major lab is, that's going to be fuzzy. With a coordinate, system of saying, okay, you have a warp to every thousand thing or every thousand blocks, then that at least gives you a reference point, and then you're fairly close to whatever lab you're trying to go to.
Can I ask that it was kind of a bunch of people once. I'm not sure actually how much it worked. How many people? Because some people added reactions to Kitty. I just want to ask for like people count. How many people were against the addition of kind of these warps and would rather just have people set up homes? Just to see a count.
People can't only staff can access other players' homes though.
And
Well,
also,
no. Just like setting your own personal warps. No, I'm just saying people who are against. Because I know there's quite a few people and they had a reaction to Kitty. But I'm very curious about people what was actually.
Sorry, what was the question specifically, Yoshi? What are you asking exactly?
Well, so if you scroll up, you'll see Kitty typed a message about like we don't need a warp system. You could just set a home in your lab. There were people who had a reaction arrows and said yes, and it kind of got muddled with other discussion. I'm very curious to see what actual public opinion is on the warp, because if anything, the public is people that use this the most.
But what specific are you asking? Are you asking about the coordinate warps or the personal warps?
No, just warps in general. Because Kitty's comment,
those are different.
They're still different things. Because you're seeing some opinions already that's saying they're fine at the coordinate warps too.
Right? Yeah, like it muddies the discussion.
Well, no. The reason I'm saying specifically is if you scroll up, Kitty made a comment about warps in general in the lab world, and there seemed to be a lot of people saying, +1 Kitty, up Kitty. I'm just trying to see how many people actually agree with Kitty because it was kind of muddled with other discussion.
I think to unmuddle this is I think there are three options. I think there's just leave it as is and get people to use homes. Either have coordinate warps that are not controlled by players, and there's also personal warps. I think by asking it in a different way, that's muddling discussion. So that's
I think personal warps is going to get messy very quickly.
Yeah.
I think homes is exactly what we already have. And I think having a coordinate warp system would allow people to easily navigate the lab world without being reliant on other players.
Also, bearing in mind that a lot of the newer members don't have access to homes and warps. So if they do have a lab, we don't want them spending 20 minutes trying to find their own lab to get something pasted in. Whereas having the coordinate system will know, oh yes, my lab is at -3,000, -2,000.
Lead did bring up the point that like members and citizens, members have no homes, they have only the bed. But I don't really see them having need of a lab world at that stage of their
warned players though.
So warned players.
Warned
players.
Warned players has a weird thing because doesn't it have a thing where like warned people can't use any homes at all?
Yeah, anyway, I think that might need fixing, perhaps. Yeah, because at least they should have the bed home at least.
Yeah, so the reason we did that is by giving them bed warp, they would have access to any other homes, and we didn't want to.
Is that how it works? You can't turn off the bed home specifically?
Correct. By giving the bed home permission, you have to give home for all homes, and we didn't want to have to delete every single home they had.
Wow. Okay, that's kind of bad. That's kind of bad on Essentials part, but okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
In regards to the coordinate, go ahead. Sorry.
I wasn't go ahead, Yoshi, because I wasn't expecting to even discuss the coordinate thing. This topic.
Well,
we're way off.
Well, I mean, what I was gonna say was honestly, I think it seems universally like that. There's coordinates. I think we can improve that. And in regards to what number the coordinates could be, there was a number brought up earlier, which I think would be, which I think was 1,500, 2,500, 3,500, and then obviously to mix with those and then zeros. So there'd be probably like 12 or something in kind of like a warp box right below, like at lab spawn somewhere.
Is there a reason why we can't just do 1,000, 2,000, 3,000?
Well, you also because actually I don't know why we proposed 1,500. I think the reason I had a reason originally, but I don't know what it was.
Because technically, if it's 1,500, that means if you want to get to 750, that's 750 away from spawn or a warp, so it's not 500, right?
Unless you're putting them at 500s.
Yeah.
I think we'll lose 500.
Turns too much, I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I would say do it at the thousands.
Oh, what count will make sense? So because the lab border is 4,000 blocks radius, if you took the 3,000 warp, you would still have to find 1,000 blocks to get to the world border. But if you have 3,500, but you only have to get 500 between the thousands. But if you have 3,500, that would offset it, and therefore it would be 500 every way.
1,000, 2,000, 3,000, and then 3,000.
3,999. You could do that.
Yeah, that too. Just get you to the border.
Or put the border at 4,001.
I don't think we need to expand it by one block. We just set the warp at 3,999.
Yeah, the warp can be one block within it, and that's fine.
Sure.
All right.
I think we can just approve that now, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we should approve that part, and I think further organization of the lab world is warranted.
Yeah, I'd be happy to set it.
Oh, never mind.
Okay. I mean, we can do it together, gods. You want?
Yeah, can do.
Okay, but back to the topic at hand.
Topic at hand. Do we need to do any lab world organization?
I don't think we need to move anybody around. I think at least in terms of getting people familiar with or at least getting the warps in, I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think what we could do is a general notice, I guess, if with some people, because I know there's some maps that are on the lab world. I guess if possible, we could. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So are we not considering cleaning up the builds that people we definitely know are not there?
I think
that is what I'm proposing. I think there is value in doing it now, or at least starting to do it now. Like, I know there are concerns about the other types of builds. We do not have to clean them up now, but the one, if people know that their build is, I think it's common sense to just start tidying up things that people don't want, and then that'll create new space, right? So that'll either be space for new labs, or people can expand their existing labs.
Yeah, we're not going to go
specifically right now.
I mean, like if it's someone who's been inactive for a couple years, then and their stuff hasn't been used in a while.
I'm just talking about. Okay, are you looking at the table? Look at the table.
Yeah, which one are you looking at? Or which?
I'm just saying. Let's just talk about Category 1 builds.
Okay.
And in addition to that, there's a suggestion to make a temporary Discord channel for people to request things that staff can remove when they have time. Basically work just like request to staff. So people just say, there's this stuff at this coordinate, please remove.
I don't see an issue with that, so long as you can prove who owns it.
Yeah, definitely. Because there's definitely not much signs about who owns what lab.
Yeah, there are definitely labs that don't have ownership signs.
Yeah.
There are definitely a lot of labs like that. So it's if you know who the person is, and it's a kind of build that wouldn't be accounted for in an IAT, then it can be removed.
Sorry, Sidney, what was that? Sorry?
If you know who owned the lab, and the builds in that lab are not stuff that would be relevant in an IAT.
Okay. I feel like there's some confusion here. I feel like some people. Okay, I'm trying to make it clear. Category 1 is people who are active on the server now, and they tell us directly to remove something.
Okay. Well,
yeah, that's easy.
That's the same as anything else that they'll ask to set 0.
Okay. It sounds like what you're talking about is it's starting to lean to Category 2, which I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether to remove or not.
Category 2, I think it should be explicitly whose lab it is, and the builds in it wouldn't be stuff that would be relevant in an IAT.
So if we don't know who the owner is, then it's automatically Cat 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't know. So
yeah.
But if we know who the owner is and they're inactive but it's like franchise templates or transit system templates for someone's franchise or something, then we probably shouldn't remove those either.
Also ban players that we know. I mean, they could come back with an appeal, but I feel like even if they did, they've sort of, because they got banned, they've sort of lost their right to any builds in the lab world anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I would say just for simplicity, Cat 1 we'll deal with now. Anything else we'll just leave. I think it's worth just asking folks to please clean up your labs and to mark a border. I mean, I think I think if we just do those, like, there's not going to be full compliance, but that may help. And then just in terms of finding open space, like DynMap renders the lab world every week, so you can use that to see what's available.
At the very least, one thing we could consider doing if we don't end up removing things is perhaps working to make spatially inefficient plots more efficient by like world editing things on top of each other rather than laterally. That would free up more space without necessarily removing anything.
Yeah, that'd be good, but I'd rather hold on that unless we get like fairly low on space. I don't know how much space there is.
Or if someone requests that, then we can help out with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would say the first point of action should be like before, in terms of forced action, would be if someone is using the lab world for something that should be on the map world, that would move first.
I'm not sure what to do about the maps in this case. I'm not sure if we want to do anything about them, like the existing ones right now.
I feel like they should be moved to the lab world, and whoever's
map world.
What?
Map world, you mean? Move them to map.
That's what I said. I said map world.
I heard lab. Okay.
I heard lab too.
Well, I might have mentally heard myself say map and said lab. Oh well. Move those maps from the lab world to the map world.
The only problem with that is that if those maps use anyone on the server, then that would just show the lab world now. Because even though you move the image, it's unless the thing actually, I think if someone could test it, I'm not exactly sure. If you lock a map, is it that whole data value set, or is it just that single map that you have?
Just that single map.
So that wouldn't work because, for example, the fly high map. Wait, when you say like, it's not like all that. You know what I mean, Gods?
I think you would need to specifically place that locked map down. So you need to then go back and play every single one that's already placed.
Yeah, so that wouldn't really work. For example, in Fly High's case.
Actually, right? No. Sorry, it should be data value.
Is it data value?
It should be data value.
I think it is. Yeah.
I think.
But then we'd need to identify which data values are tied to those plots, which is another faff.
I think, well, I mean, yeah, some of them, like the fly high one, that one is all over the place, so it's relatively easy to find one and lock it. But
we don't know if, for example, there's multiple occurrences of that one map from that one place out there with different data values.
I mean, having just gotten the fly high map, it does. I think it requires the advanced tooltips, but you can actually mouse over it and see it locked. And so in that particular case, it is locked.
But we don't know if that's true for all of them.
Anyway,
I mean, there may. I'm not sure how we could look into how maps are stored. There's a possibility we could use a Python script to look for the right dimension and automatically lock that data value.
I do remember when we moved to 1.15, I had to run a Python script to set flags, and one of them might have been the locked flag. So any flags, any maps now, or at least got migrated, would have that flag in there.
Oh, and any new ones would be.
I'd have to double check. I think I have the script somewhere. You can double check to see what exactly it did. Looking at Meeting Live, it looks like. Okay, just to be really clear to people, I put all these categories just to make it easy for people to understand. Yes, it sounds like yes. Build category things under build category 1 where people explicitly allow removal. I think we will go forward with that. I know people are saying no to category 2 right now. I still want to keep it as an option later on.
Yeah. I think it's no for now.
It's no for now, but if the lab world gets to a point where there really isn't space, if we don't see many people actually cleaning up, then we might have to consider category 2. So,
And I would say then at that point, we also would need to consider forcibly moving maps to the map world.
I wish
would
Mega was
say-
here. Maybe he had some, because he's a map world guy. But
Yeah. Yeah, I would say if you have a map in the lab world, please move it voluntarily.
Yes.
That would be great. But
The sooner you can do that, the better.
But if it's not possible, then I guess can't really do anything with that.
I mean,
it is possible. It's more just how much work is it going to be on the back end, right? Because if a map for whatever reason gets replaced and then you have to run around to all of your instances in game, that might take a couple hours, but it's a one-time job.
Yeah. I think that if you have stuff like that in the lab world, please do move it to the map world. That's space that should be available for other people to use.
Yeah, I think it's the best thing we can just do is basically say, if you have things that you don't have sentimental value for and are pretty big and can be removed, please do remove them. Otherwise, we won't do anything unless it really needs help. I think, for example, one example would be like empty airport things that have been pasted on the new world already, for example, because I think I can see a few of them on the lab world now. So
just to answer Imperial's question, yeah, we are implementing solution 4 in your proposal. We are basically reminding people, if you want to please clean up your stuff yourself. If you need, or you can, are you guys okay with making the channel as well, the cleanup channel in Discord?
I think that's fine because, having it temporarily, I think makes sense, and then eventually that'll get folded into request to staff.
Okay, so there's that. Regarding to solution 2, Imperial, yeah, I don't think a pointless stupidity button is gonna be useful, to be honest. But we're instead using the warps, the coordinate warps instead.
Okay. All right, so that sounds settled then.
can I ask a question or something? How many? So I don't mean to do this on, but for the coordinate warps things, I've realized that if we're doing it for every kind of 1,000 and whatever in a kind of a grid fashion, there'd be. I just wanted to make sure it's okay. There'd be quite a bit of warps. There'd be, I think, approximately 12
48.
48 warps. I just want to make sure
That's
that's fine.
That's not bad.
That's not bad.
I mean,
as long as you make it, or whatever we build at spawn, I'm kind of imagining remember the old world MRT map, something like just a place where it just kind of looks like the lab world, but you just find the appropriate
or
side.
even just a 7x7 wall.
The wall could work too. Yeah.
So
I mean, we've got a whole corner of the lab world, world spawn, which isn't being used.
We'll figure it out. I think we can figure it out.
Well,
okay.
Yes, no,
Yeah, we'll leave the design to you guys, but that's not that many. That's fine. Okay, so that sounds settled. So to recap, we're doing the coordinate warps. We're going to remind people to clean up your stuff. If you want us to delete something, that's fine. We'll have a temporary channel, and then eventually you'll be able to ask in request to staff. No forced action on anything yet. If we get low on space, then we'll revisit. And again, so the priorities for everybody are, if you have stuff that you're no longer using, please ask us to remove it. If you have really big things that have been moved over, please ask us to remove it. And if you have maps in the lab world, please move them to the map world.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
All right, that's section 5 done in an hour and a half. So, yay, good job.
Transport project.
Transport.
Hooray!
Now on to the
trains, planes, and automobiles.
Now onto the lightning round. Okay, so transport projects. So retroactive bypass request.
Yeah, I'm fine with this one.
This one's fine.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
I think
Yeah, weird circumstance, but yeah, it's okay.
I think even with council research, I think we might have approved it in the past anyway as well.
Okay, well, it's very much approved now. So cool.
Yes.
Okay, 6B.
Rubert stamp.
All right.
6B. All right.
Please be sure to
Create a
read
bus terminal.
the amendment as well from Elite.
So he's also copied the
Okay.
amendment onto the main proposal.
Oh,
My only concern is why does he have to move the radio
Yeah.
building? Why can't that stay where it is and he uses the other plots? Because like that's been there since pretty much the start of the New World.
Maybe for closeness to Central Park.
I don't
But
believe.
I think like the radio thing is part of Central City's culture.
He
agree.
owns that building.
Oh, it is his building.
Yeah, Burn Cow has given him. Yeah, Burn Cow originally owned it and gave it to Elite.
So
Correction, Burn Cow did not originally. It was owned by Technological 99, but
And then Burn Cow IoT'd it.
he didn't IT it, but I think it was just kind of abandoned. So I think he might have taken it over because I know that used to be the Merchant City Radio building. But so.
Yeah, and then so then I don't see a reason why we shouldn't approve it as is. Then, if the building is owned by Elite,
So my main qualm is our general stance on. I know that this isn't a single company bus terminal, but it is a super majority single company bus terminal at 2/3 his own and 1/3 public. So
how's that compared to whenever Conric did his?
That was before we kind of more enforce this rule. So that's kind of grandfathered in already. I see. I'm still kind of more erring. I'm still on the side of God. I don't understand why that building would move and why not just put it where the plot was. Because that plot over there that he's pointing out was going to be the Epsilon bus terminal, and I think everyone was fine with that. So I'm very curious why he'd want it to be moved. Like, I'm just more like I don't know. I feel like that plot over there is fine.
yeah, also like Northwest Station is very easy to get to, either by warps or by flying or by road. Like, yeah, I'm fine with building, something there. I would rather see buildings left where they are.
Okay.
He's going 50%.
Yeah, Elite's saying 50. He's open to making it 50% public.
In that case, make it 50% and don't move the building.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, if it's in a different plot, I'm fine. I just don't want him to have to move that.
Well, no, hold on. Elite's now saying he wants to put it under the radio building. Is there any reason you wanted to put it in that plot? That's just kind of like, I don't know, because you seemed okay to putting the Epsilon bus terminal in the Northwest. So I'm curious why. What's the difference here than before?
He went to proximity to Central Park.
I would suggest rather than talk about hypotheticals, should we ask Elite to re-propose it with these in mind?
No, he's here right now, man. I thought I was kind of waiting for him to answer the question.
Also, it's not really a hypothetical. It's at one, maybe two conditions that are fairly straightforward.
There's no reason to re-propose.
Yeah, I don't think it needs another round.
I would prefer to have that bus terminal be overground, but
I don't really care what design he chooses, to be honest. I think it's his own choice, but
I don't care. Just don't break the stuff that's underground, like
Yeah.
the Central Link or the MRT.
I know. I'm assuming Elite, the reason you wanted there is just to be closer to spawn. I mean, I would be, since he does own that plot already, I would be for kind of putting a shuttle, but allowing him to put a shuttle bus in the parking lot of the radio station to get to the Northwest. I think I'd be for that as a compromise. Hello?
Hi.
I guess we're just waiting on Elite to. Yep, he says it. Yes to the shuttle bus.
Okay.
Yeah. Just don't fuck up the parking lot too much, you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, so then conditionally approved.
I don't think it's conditionally approved. I think we approved.
Well, no, conditionally approved on no like super majority. of single company. Like open up the slot so it's closer to 50-50. Yeah.
So we're saying 50-50 and leave the radio building where it is, build onto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 50-50 and leave the radio tower where it is, but either an underground terminal with the shuttle or yeah, that sounds good.
All right.
Okay. So
6C.
all right, 6B conditional. 6C.
Oh boy.
Mine was just the main cross of water. That's my only main concern with this one.
Just to be clearly, do you propose already parts of this road, and that was that approved already at previous GSMs?
Well, this is past 3 months ago because he proposed 3 months ago, and he didn't get around to finishing it.
I see.
We don't.
Okay.
Yeah. And again, we don't have that original, from a ways back, that statute of limitations thing that didn't pass, so that doesn't matter. So whatever approval you have from before, as long as you're doing the same route, that still stands.
Oh, it's a new route.
It's a new route.
New route, okay.
He's doing that same area, and then he branches with that B route across the water.
I believe is a new thing. I think.
The pink line is the B1 that is already built.
But that's because it's within one town. And then so the B1, so it makes a T junction and changes into the B1.
They're actually building is the orange and the red. The blue and the pink already exist.
I believe we brought this up, Elite.
Yeah.
The A1's supposed to continue north. How is it going to do that from this setup?
Because this looks like it's going to terminate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that B1
hypothetically co-signage with the A1. Why not just call that bit the A1?
So the pink line, this because that's already built as the B1.
Yeah.
So that gets upgraded.
Try not to. I'm not in favor of co-signage. That confuses things. That's like, what road am I on? I'm on both roads.
Answer, yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think if you upgraded that to A1, then I'd be okay with that.
Like Kyle is on Discord, just have to ping him because that is through Oparia. Says we need him to be okay with it.
Yeah.
I guess co-signage is. I guess it's okay in some circumstances, but in this particular one, it sort of implies that the A1, based on what I'm reading on the proposal, it seems like it might. It looks like it's terminating, which I don't really want to see. So.
I mean, yes, I just want to make sure that Kyle's okay with it, like want his approval.
And then I guess, the other issue then is that orange bit, the bridge/tunnel, because I know we've had issues with long bridges and tunnels before.
Orange?
In the proposal. The bit that goes from the T junction over to across the water over towards New Mackinac.
Okay, Kyle says he's okay with
I see.
stuff through Oparia.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so that's fine.
Then I have no issues.
I'm just thinking of the water crossing because we denied a B road a shorter crossing than this.
Although that B road was just to an island, whereas this is going across a bay.
Yeah, this is to a peninsula. I think it's different.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
If you do underground, just make sure to go pretty far underground because the seafloor is made of gravel and you might run over the coral reef. And those are pretty.
Environmental protection.
Yes.
Yeah.
We need environmental impact statement.
Please no.
Please no. Please no.
That was sarcasm.
I am happy to accept payment of £1,000 for a
34 meters.
Yeah,
here's the thing. If you send me an environmental impact statement, I will happily accept it and then immediately shred it.
just double. I was gonna say, Elite, yeah, just double check. Why don't you put the tunnel in? Just double check that it doesn't run into anything, but you should be good.
I'm fine with that.
And for the and for the record, I'm checking over the B1 now, and it does seem to be at almost airroad standard anyway. Like some of the curves are a bit tight, some of the gradients are a bit well, but overall, I don't think it'd be much to upgrade it.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's pretty all right, but I do agree with that. It feels kind of on the cusp of not really being a road quality.
I mean, Kyle said he's okay with upgrading it, so
Yeah. Is this relevant? Like, if we approve it, he'll upgrade
Yeah.
it. Yep.
Yeah, I'm approved.
So in that case, okay, cool. Full approved then.
Cool.
Okay. 6D B58.
more roads in the south.
Yeah, it looks fine. I don't see an issue with it.
Yeah, again, my only issue would be distance of the bridge or tunnel.
I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah, that looks fine to me.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I know Connor mentioned that just for y'all to pick one, he didn't really care about it because I have a stake in the road as it connects. He's extending the road that we built together. So whichever one we mandate, he'll do. We just let him pick.
Okay. Yeah. So the absentee ballot votes on this one, the comments. So one vote was yes, but would rather have it be a bridge, and then both of them would ask for the crossing to be a little bit more north, but otherwise it looks fine.
To be parallel with the southern line, basically?
Yeah.
Karak's not here, is he?
No.
Okay, so
Honestly, I don't have an issue approving it as is.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it as is also.
I think it makes a decision.
Actually.
we can suggest it's a Conric, but
yeah,
it
okay.
doesn't matter.
So we'll approve it, and he has the option to do a little further north too if he wants.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. Cool. 6E Elecna Beta Lake 18, which does that lake have a name?
Which one? The one up there, huh? I don't think so.
18? No, it doesn't. Okay.
This one.
My only concern is that Time has already got an existing canal project which he hasn't started on.
This one's a lot shorter though.
Still.
As a reminder, which canal is that?
The one down
46 to 47.
Uakan Bay or beach.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that really long one.
I mean, it's pretty short. Like, if you could literally do this in a day.
Yeah, this is a very, very short canal.
Mindman was also involved in this, I believe.
Yeah.
So.
I'm fine along it anyway.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it.
Yeah, just make sure to, like you said in the last line, to privately converse with amendment upon his return. Just also please get the other canal working soon if you can.
Yeah. Please.
Okay. Cool. Approved. 6F A230.
Yeah, so it's following a very similar route to what Kel had planned before he left, and it would finally connect the A2 to the rest of the server. So,
oh my god, it's happening!
It's happening.
Yay.
One question: do you have a higher quality screenshot?
Oh, right. I might do 1 minute.
Because that's the way Google Docs is. I think it is a big screenshot. It just scales it down.
It is.
Yeah,
Yeah, best to get an IMGO link and just hyperlink it somewhere, which I do.
I mean, I know where that road goes. I think it's fine.
Yeah, there's like bits and pieces like already there, so it's like.
I am totally fine approving this as is.
This
written.
is yeah, this looks fine.
Enthusiastic approval, I think, is the general consensus.
I've
Yeah,
yeah,
but
put it in the meeting chat if you want to see a bigger one.
Yeah, this looks fine.
Yep.
Yes, amazing.
Oh, Camel beat me to it.
I think approved. Don't see any issues with it.
I'm happy.
Okay, 6G.
I just added this because
Oh, this is a 4K waiver.
Yeah, we usually don't usually do a GSM, but why not?
The
Yeah,
only
that's
thing is,
that's
I
fine
would
based on timing.
Also, all roads are up to date.
I would prefer if it went underground in the jungle, some of the biomes that we tend to stay. And I don't know where some of these towns are, but he says ground level to Boxtown and underground to Nephalia, which I believe is in the north. But that means he's elevated through the jungle or above ground in the jungle, so I don't know.
So I guess so I've got a couple questions. One is Foot Chicken is effectively building a line that we've already approved that basically does that same thing of paralleling the jungle. So,
Maybe a corridor?
Yeah, so I'm like if there's a plan for track sharing that may be worthwhile to look into. But and then the really big hairpin effectively that it's doing just to get out to Prismarine, I'm like, why does it need to go back to the jungle? Why doesn't it just keep going south or southeast?
You just connect with the lines there. I know there's some. I think there's a lot of third-party rail also in that wherever that is.
Like out by Prismarine or out where
west
where the
of
plains line?
Yeah, west of like Cannibal and
okay.
Like
underground.
I wish this map kind of told where the train would stop. That would make it much easier to understand.
Yeah, it's a little lacking. And I do agree if this thing is going to just tear through the jungle,
underground
EPA would like a word. So
yeah, that's what we said with Foot Chicken's proposal too. Is that the bit that's through the jungle biome needed to be underground.
Where is Bogtown? I think
terminus of the expo line.
Wait, Chicken's on Discord right now.
Yeah, it's Bogtown's the terminus of the expo line, so it should be right there on the map.
So wait a minute. Okay, so hold on. I'm trying to figure out what direction he's just because note the additional info from Pretzel, the little box there at the bottom of the topic. So is Nymphalia is north or south?
It's at the northern terminus. Nymphalia is where the northern end of the red line.
Nymphalia is on the eastern line.
Yeah, it's basically where his drawing line. It's where it ends up at the top.
So based on this, that means there's an elevated and ground. Yeah, he's gonna punch through the jungle. He's not going underground.
But Chicken says he hasn't started on his line yet.
I mean, I don't. Yeah, I'm just confused what the stations would be.
I'm so confused. Okay,
I would just say.
Do you want to just say reproposal?
Since we can't approve these inside GSMs, I would just say repropose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Repropose with a lot more specificity.
And also not going elevator or ground level through the jungle because that's
yeah.
Just please mark it off where the stations are going to be in the map. That would be very helpful.
Mark it off. Also, like if you can draw straight lines instead of hand drawing, that may help. Although that's not as big a deal. Mark the stations and then coordinate with Foot Chicken potentially for the bit that goes through the jungle because there may be interest. I don't want to require it because I know that we've got cases where multiple companies are doing rail lines next to each other. But if Pretzel and Foot want to do a common use track, like we've already approved the bit that goes along the jungle line. So as long as that's underground. So if you just wanted to hook into that and Foot's okay with it, then great. But yeah, okay. Reproposal.
Okay. Is that it for 6G?
That's it for 6.
Cool.
Okay, Assassin's 2.
7A, I am A-OK approving.
7A, I think is fine.
Can you get a sense of how well that event went?
It went fine. After talking with some participants, it seemed like the event was done well. There were maybe concerns about the format, which I think there's going to be some format changes in season 2, so I think that should be fine. Otherwise, I think the funding has no other problems.
Just to make sure we're clear here, because it isn't just a funding request, it is also asking for the use of command blocks. Are we happy to approve that as well?
I think since you two, there's 2 admins on it, I think it should be fine.
Yeah. And I would just say from observing the first day, I think I watched the first day live remotely and then was actually on for a bit of the second. But, I think as with any events, the first season is always going to be a little bit more challenging to understand how it's all going to work, and it's not going to be perfect. I would say, generally speaking, I thought that the event was run professionally and fairly, and I think it seems like people who participated had fun, and I think the biggest request that I saw from people was do more, please, like have more challenges and stuff during the day, because it felt like the session, I think the most common complaint that I heard was that the first day session was a bit short, but which, like, having that be the complaint, I think that's a really good sign. So yes,
I think the event was pretty good for what they did.
It was a
really enjoyable time.
Yeah, I know there was a few other individual problems that I think he'll probably talk with some maybe individuals about on his own time, but otherwise the event went pretty well for the first time.
Oh yeah. So okay, great. So approved in full.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So that's it. 8A, Merit Lakes.
As a reminder, this is a re-proposal from last GSM? Yes, GSM.
Yeah, Rock clarified most what he was going to do with his plans.
Our issue when we denied it last time because there was not enough detail, but there seems
and now there is considerably more detail.
Yep.
So
fine with this.
I'm fine.
Fine with me.
Yep.
Fine by me.
Okay, approved. 8B F14.
Oh, this is in that the Forest Plains dead zone.
The doldrums.
It's not super dead. There are quite a few central towns there.
Can we call that? Well, I don't know. Can we name that the Badlands or the doldrums or something? Anyway,
it's definitely a premier. It's a premier dead zone. That's definitely.
Yeah. I think honestly, with how Seminolity is, and with this, I'm personally fine with it. Honestly, with how kind of uniform the South Seminolity is, honestly, I also wouldn't be too broken up if I guess the buildings were kind of moved out of the way or like put in a different location just so the town can keep its kind of unique uniform style. I know the proposal says he keep the buildings, but I know these kind of clash with his own style, so I wouldn't be mad if he wanted to move them somewhere else.
I would also suggest potentially having like a district that's just the original town and then like new stuff around it.
Well, that's what he's saying.
No, that's what he's saying.
Yeah, the existing houses, he says, are going to remain untouched. So
yeah,
so yeah, in that case, he's taking ownership so that he can build, so that he can surround it.
So wait, just to clarify, Yoshi, you're suggesting, and this is not something we usually do. Like you're suggesting he actually integrates it and actually touches the town.
Legitimately, I am honestly for that just because, well, personally, I'm quite a big fan of Seminolity because of it's very uniform. It was very nice. It has the high quality builds. I legitimately wouldn't be against him either like moving the town to another place or just even kind of getting rid of some of the builds just to keep his time uniform. We've seen, I know Vicky has done this before, where she's moved Chillington to another place so she can build. So instead of preserve the builds, just move it to a different location so she's allowed to kind of keep the theme of her town intact. If that makes sense.
Okay, I can see why. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're talking about Chillington, I mean that's where an airport went. So.
But that's also not what he's asking for in this case.
Yeah.
Yes, but I am just saying, if he does decide to kind of build over the whole area, I wouldn't be against him also allowing him basically essentially to move the build somewhere else. We usually say
you just want to leave that out open.
Yeah, because what we usually do is for these say, oh, you have to make sure to integrate it and whatnot. But I think in this case, I would be happy to leave it.
I'm happy to leave it as is, and
Okay.
letting him build around it.
Okay, so just standard approval then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great.
9A we approved.
Wait, what?
9A we denied.
Oh, we denied. Right.
Denied. Not enough development.
Okay.
And that's it. Oh, 10A.
That's it. Except for
10A.
the UACAM beach results, which I have. So, okay, let me pull them up because Time sent them to me over the course of multiple Discord messages. So, okay. So the statement from Time reads as follows. First off, a couple thanks, namely a big thank you to all the people who built a hotel this time around. The quality was truly off the charts this year all across the board, and I really appreciate your hard work, dedication, craftsmanship, and creativity. Even if we didn't reach the amount of participants as from Seg of Sol's competition, that shouldn't take away from the hotels that were built this year and the players' accomplishments in doing so. No matter what place y'all came in, I think all your hotels were spectacular, and to those who are listening who haven't checked out other hotels yet, do it. It's worth it. Secondly, thank you to those who voted, taking a small part out of your day and making your voices heard. At the end of the day, we tied 22 votes, which was a pretty good turnout, all things considered. And finally, thank you to the server for giving me the opportunity to host the competition again. And again, Time, I'll let you read off the more full statement if you want. I am going to give a bit of the brief version. For how voting actually worked, each voter ranked every hotel from 1 to 10. Scores were then tallied by removing all the votes of people who voted for their own hotel, and then averaging the remaining votes together to get a final score. Highest score wins, obviously 10 being the best. So the results are as follows, and we'll be following up with prizes and the like shortly here. In 8th place, with a final score of 5.62, is Foot Chicken. In 7th place, with a score of 5.81, we have Me Aquamarine. In 6th place, with a score of 6.38, we have Frog, or however many G's that is.
6.
In 5th place, with a score of 6.57, is Crimson Fox. In 4th place, with a score of 7.05, is Oddsbuso. In 3rd place, with a score of 7.73, is Vicky Tori. And we have in 2nd place, with a score of 8.24, is Moj1014 with the Imperial Hotel. And that means that Mossy with the oh god, how do you do that? The Verdunda is the winner of the UACAM Beach Hotel. So again, we'll post the results and payment information and all of that shortly here. I think that is largely it. And Time, if you wanted to post all your additional stuff with the rest of your statements, I know I glossed over a few bits. Just again for brevity, feel free to post that. Was Mossy's Hotel a bridge?
The most important question.
I wish it was.
Was Mossy's Hotel just a circular spiral of MRT track?
That would make a nice hotel, actually. That'd be kind of cool.
I'll have to build that in Secundo at some point.
No, just build a hotel in the middle of the spiral.
Not a bad idea.
Welcome to the corkscrew. Yeah, that could work.
I mean, there's like some empty lots nearby. You could easily do it.
Or if the jungle line gets extended even further, have another spiral and put a hotel in that.
Okay, I will take the trustee meeting results. I'm behind the podium, and then we can start doing questions. Okay, thank you. All right. So if you have a question, you can either just post your question in the Meeting Live channel, or if you would like to speak your question, then just ping me and ask to speak, and we can unmute you. So are there any questions or statements that anyone wants to make here, or any stuff like that? I have not yet read the trustee meeting results now.
Yeah, it's after Q&A.
Yeah, that's the last thing that we do before I bugger off.
A question.
John G has a question.
John G has a question. You are the only person who has a question.
To answer Worski, yeah, Merritt Lakes was approved, so Frog did take that IAT.
So the terms of 5C, so that was 5C is community. No, 5C is
Zeta.
So yeah, so we're saying that the moratorium is lifted, but that any new lines are going to need to go through already developed towns. And so what that means, it's going to be a bit subjective, but generally, whichever staff members are going to be building out the lines, they'll kind of plan stuff out and see where there's significant enough development. If it seems like most of the line is going out into nowhere for no reason, then it's probably going to be a little harder to get that line approved.
Dolt summed it up, yes. ZN or Expo East are probably the most likely candidates. Maybe we'll see a proposal for that in the next ISM or GSM.
Yeah, but again, it's as with all MRT lines, it's up to the staff members who are going to build them.
Oh, Jesus, John G.
Oh, jeez. So the question is, at least in the FS, Federated States in their world, but also in future MPOs, there's going to be quite a few rail lines that are going to take weird routes, specifically because they want to connect those MPO towns. What is your general policy on that? What do you mean?
Can I take this one?
Yes.
I think you should try and come up with a logical grid-like pattern. If that means you have to have rail spurs to connect certain towns, that's so be it. It makes a lot more sense to have a major rail corridor with spurs coming off of it to serve some towns than to have the rail line kind of zigzag back and forth. And I think that's what you should shoot for.
Yeah, in terms of legality and everything, John G. So with a community build, whoever is in charge of either transport or the build as a whole is responsible for approving it, and then general rail lines apply. I mean, it's a rail line. If it needs a 4K waiver, get a 4K waiver.
Yeah, the thing is, if it technically doesn't need a 4K waiver, you can build it anyway. We don't really have any say over if it's not a 4K waiver. If it's a weird line and it's below 4K, then that's fine. If it's under 4K, I guess that's a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing special about rail lines.
Yeah, if they're regardless
Pretzel's,
of it.
Yeah, so Pretzel's proposal is being we're saying no right now because, among other things, he's missing a lot of detail and his proposal is really confusing. So we're asking him to resubmit for the ISM in 2 weeks.
Or even sooner, it's a 4K waiver.
Yeah, if it's just a 4K waiver, then we can handle that separately. So,
Yeah,
but
it's a 4K.
yeah. So, but like if he is also gonna go and bypass all those extra towns and stuff, then and not use the same track as Foot Chicken, then that's a different thing. But if it's just the 4K waiver that he needs, then that's fine. The thing that we were missing is where are the stations. So we will deal with that proposal once it's resent.
Yeah, it's whether or not we should have MPO exclusive rail is another thing in its entirety. It's not unprecedented. We do have Connect East.
Well, and also it's treated just like any private company.
Yep.
I mean, like RailLink is notorious for generally not allowing any kind of interlining with anybody else, which, again, there are exceptions, but it's generally pretty well known that most companies will operate their own track. So
yeah,
I want to clarify, John G. If it's within 4,000, we really have there's no need for staff approval. But if it's over 4,000, that's a different story. So like if it's just going to MPO 10, but it's within it follows all the 4,000 rules, then should be fine. You don't need to ask staff for approval for that.
yeah, I mean, imagine that the MPO is just like any other rail company. The end.
Yeah.
So that should hopefully simplify it. Not sure you have a question off of your live stream.
Let's go ahead. Warski Northwest being said, you'll have to how you get alignment is talk to the staff who would be willing to build it and they can help extend it, but it's not in Zeta, so we don't really have. We're more talking about Zeta extensions, but you could get any ones that's not in Zeta extended. There's no restrictions on those.
Yep. I'll answer Avanish's question about what ISMs cover. Avanish, you can look on the website, look at the policies and procedures page. It's a new page, and in there is a section about GSMs and ISMs and what they cover. So.
And I mean, just to be explicit, so general staff meetings sections 6 through 10. Those are what we cover at ISMs.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't know if we want to list them here. You can just read the website. So I mean,
Section 6 transport, Section 7 events, Section 8 IATs, Section 9 MRT lines, Section 10 other. Okay. Any other questions?
I guess a question to staff, or at least the people who like to build MRT lines, like CC or CODs. Are you planning on proposing something for the ISM? Or
yeah, that's my plan. Is Arctic for next ISM. I'm still narrowing getting permissions done for that because I have lots of IATs I will be trying to get for Arctic.
I might build a second MRT line extension, but I currently don't know where I would propose one.
I will say, expect something in forum or planning soon with a map.
I'll probably look at doing the expo soon, but I know there's a couple of inactive players that have towns on the route, so I'll have to see.
I was thinking of doing a Zephyr North.
Yeah. I will say Taiga is stalled because of an IAT I have to wait for. I didn't account for. So September, I'll get the IAT to finish off Taiga. That's the reason for the delay.
We should also do Western Road as well. Any other questions?
Okay. Seems like there are no other questions. So I will read off the trustee notes and then we will call it good. What the hell is happening in that channel? Okay. Ignore that.
Oh no.
You saw nothing.
It's fine.
You saw nothing. Okay. All right, so the trustee meeting notes are as follows. First off, the following entities, players, and things and whatnot are nominated for trustee. Karen from SpongeBob SquarePants, Yandere Dev, Jack's Top Tier Napalm TM, the Assassins from Seasons 1 and 2, The Set, the MBN GSM camera, P1, Joe Biden's sunglasses, the Clipper Vulpicula, and that's it for the trustee nominations. As for general business, Napalm is hereby ordered launched into the city center of Southfort. Yuakam Beach is nominated for premier. Create the rank of open bracket naughty sinner close bracket. Typos like the MBS on MBN are now considered accurate. Tax fraud is the official crime of the trustees. SpaceX Crew Dragon is nominated for trustee. Banish 2020 to the jails under Central Park. Take a Dayquil. The Amazing Glitch is nominated as official game show of the trustees. War is declared on all non-Sandsvik parties to the Southport conflict. War is declared on Sandsvik as well. Move Weezerville onto a tropical island so that it can be called the Island in the Sun. Censure broadcast. MBS is designated as a kids channel, and the attempted defunding of Caltrain is POG and unsatisfactory.
Okay.
Interesting. Thank you very much.
Can someone please place a garbage bin somewhere in the Secunda Spiral, and I will deposit these notes directly in there.
Excellent.
I went to the washroom while you were reading that, so I guess I missed.
Yes, you honestly probably made
also,
a poor decision.
Also, Caltrain is getting funded now, so that is no longer attempted defunding.
Is anything else for this GSM? Is that?
Given that I've just read the trustee meeting notes, I think we're done.
I think we're done here.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. That's it. Thanks, everybody.
GG.
2 hours and 7 minutes.
Almost a new record.
No, the record's 1 hour for the entire meeting.
I know. That's why I said almost.
Oh, we got a ways to go.
We need to ban and kick everyone off, and then there'll be no one left.
All right, I'm kicking Craig out now. Bye.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna head off.
Frumple, do you want to talk now, or do you want to talk another time?
Let's have a quick chat.
Okay.
And for our viewers on MBN, this has been the August 2020 GSM. We thank you very much for watching. Check our Twitter for a full recap of everything that was decided today. We have a whole Twitter thread on our Twitter account, twitter.com/MRT BroadcastNet. But for now, from MBN News in Secunda, I'm Not Short 925. Good day, everybody.